Let's dive into the eagerly awaited, much-loved Hogwarts Legacy. In this video, I'll explain the story of the game. Now, this game does feature several side quest story strands, which would take far too long to explain. So I'll stick to the main story and the Sebastian Sallow's side quest, which is the quest which enables us to use Unforgivable Curses and is pretty popular amongst gamers. It goes without saying, but spoilers are naturally ahead. If you don't want this game ruined, but you want to know if it's worth your cash, then you can watch my review of the game by clicking up here. Finally, if you enjoyed the video, please do hit subscribe. I'm just one guy making these videos on my own. They do take a lot of time to make, so a few extra subscribers at the end of it is always great. Or if you're feeling super generous and kind, you can always give me a super thanks below. Let's go! Once we've spent 5 hours creating our customizable witch or wizard, the game opens in London. We're accompanied by Professor Fig, a teacher from Hogwarts. Through dialogue, we learn that we are starting our education late and entering at 5th year level. It's never really fully explained why, but Fig has been helping us with some tutoring before we start school. Moments later, just like magic, this dude appears. He is George Osric and works for the Ministry of Magic and joins us for the rest of the journey to Hogwarts. As we take off, we notice a mysterious figure is watching us. On the way, Osric and Fig discuss a goblin named Ranrok who is making headlines for allegedly leading a goblin rebellion. This is very much just rumour at this point, but George reveals that Professor Fig's wife, Miriam, wrote to him recently and explained the threat of Ranrok before she sadly died. He also explains that she sent him an unusual object that he cannot open. Fig studies it before we say,
"What's that glow?"
Upon touching the object, it opens, revealing a key of sorts. Then, George decides to leave us. Well, okay, technically, he is eaten by a dragon. We fall from the skies with Fig, but we are saved moments before being eaten by the aforementioned key. The mysterious key was, in fact, a port key, meaning it transports you to another location upon its touch. Upon exploring our destination, we find another glowing light, resembling that of which we saw on the key. Like before, Fig cannot see it, only we can. After touching it, we are again transported to another location. This time, it appears to be a secret entrance to Gringotts Bank. When inside, we notice that your mum is working on the front desk and takes us to a nearby vault. Inside the vault, the duo discover a locket floating above a pensive, which, if you're familiar with the Harry Potter books or films, allow you to see stored memories. Rest in peace, Snape. I also want to address this now before you do in the comments. I've always assumed it was pronounced Pensieve, like Dumbledore says, but in this game, they say,
"That is a pensive."
Within the memory, we see two wizards, Percival Rackham and Charles Rookwood. The two discuss a hidden path of knowledge only accessible to witches or wizards that can see ancient magic, a rare skill among the wizarding world. One can assume the mysterious glow that we've been witnessing is ancient magic, and we are one of such rare wizards. Next, the goblin rebel Ranrok arrives in the vault and demands whatever we have found in there. Naturally, we say no. In frustration, he kills your mum from the front desk with unusually powerful magic for a goblin and says,
"I have no patience for traitors."
And I think,
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
Sensing their impending doom, Fig attacks Ranrok, which leads to a short duel before we escape via another portal. This portal leads us to a clearing just outside of Hogwarts, our intended initial destination.
Ooh, how convenient.
Inside, we enter the sorting ceremony and are sorted into the house of your choice. If you're cool like me, then you chose Slytherin. We get to work on our studies and begin to learn spells and shit. In our early days of classes, we begin to make friends, some of which offer their own relationship side quest strands. As I said at the start, I won't delve into them too much, except for elements which affect the main story. For now, it's worth noting that we do meet and befriend fellow Slytherin, Sebastian Sallow. Alongside one of our new friends, player choice dependent as to which one, we visit Hogsmeade Village to get some supplies. While there, we are attacked by a troll. We manage to harness and use our ancient magic skill and obliterate the rogue troll. When the fight is over, we see notorious dark wizard Lord Voldemort. No, I'm only joking, of course. It is Victor Rookwood talking to Ranrok. Through conversation, we learn the troll was sent by Ranrok as a distraction while Rookwood was supposed to abduct us. Catching back up with Professor Fig, who has been investigating the locket we found inside the vault, explains that his research has led him to a mysterious map. The map reveals the desired location to be the restricted area in the library. Unlike Harry Potter, we do not have a cloak of invisibility, so our new buddy Sebastian helps us get inside the restricted section. Inside, we find another magic portal, which leads us to, yep, you guessed it, another item and another pensive. Within the memory, we see the same two wizards alongside two others using magic to change the weather and help a hamlet suffering from a drought. A young girl inside the village seems to notice Percival Rackham before he leaves the scene. The memory then jumps forward and we see the girl named Isadora Morganach, now older and studying at Hogwarts. It becomes clear through conversation that she too, like us, started Hogwarts as a 5th year and can also see traces of ancient magic. Thanks to a map inside the book we found, we discover the Map Room, a secret chamber underneath the grounds of Hogwarts Castle. Within the room, 4 large empty portraits stand. Upon approaching, we see Percival Rackham inside one and converse with him. After we send Rackham a link to this video so he can see what we've been up to so far, he explains that we can't progress any further until we bring him the book, which we stupidly left with Professor Fig, who is currently away from the castle working for the Ministry of Magic, and we should focus on our studies for a bit while we can wait. Back in the boring world of education, Professor Weasley introduces us to the Room of Requirements, a place to practice our spells, potion brewing, and all that other magic stuff. Inside, we meet a house elf called Deke, who basically lives inside the Room of Requirements and regularly tells us that we should be proud of all the potions that we've brewed. He gives us a little tour, and I think...
So many aerobics in here! So many activities!
After I changed my pink hair colour and with Professor Fig back from whatever the fuck it was he was doing, we return with him to the map room. Having placed the book on the pedestal, a map appears of Hogwarts and the surrounding area on the floor of the chamber, and I think, maybe that's why they called it the map chamber. We have another catch-up with our pal Rackham, who explains that before he can teach us more about ancient magic, we must first complete 4 trials set by 4 keepers, presumably the wizards we have seen in the flashbacks, who are tasked with protecting the knowledge of ancient magic. The location of each trial will appear on the map. Fig rightly points out that this weird little goblin fella is trying to kill us, and maybe we don't have time for a fucking game show, but alas, we have to do it anyway. After completing the first trial, we gain access to another memory and we see Isadora Morganach conversing with Percival Rackham. She claims her father is depressed after the death of her brother and she wishes to use her ancient magic ability to take the pain away that he is suffering. Rackham disagrees, saying that ancient magic shouldn't be used on human emotions. In a further flash, we see Isadora again, now a professor in Hogwarts. She explains that she has been traveling and that there is something she would like to show the keepers at her family home. The memory ends. We return to the map room to be given the location of the next trial. This time we find not only Percival Rackham, but also Charles Rookwood, who, yes, by the way, is an ancestor of Victor Rookwood, the Dark Wizard from earlier. Due to the increased goblin threat, Rookwood and Rackham claim it would be unwise and unsafe to continue the trials, and our quest shall be paused for now until the duo can investigate further. With that part of the quest paused, we pursue other leads to find out what Ranrok is up to. In a pub, we meet Lodgok, a goblin with no love for Ranrok. He speaks of a lost goblin artifact, which if we were to find for him, would repair his relationship with Ranrok, and he may be able to learn more about his plans. Naturally, like the quality wizard we are, we track down the artifact, which is a helmet, and give it back to Lodgok. Meanwhile, back in the Sebastian questline, we meet his sister Anne and his uncle Solomon. We learn that Anne was cursed by a goblin and is slowly dying. Sebastian is still desperately trying to find a cure, but his uncle berates him, claiming there is none. Also, during our adventures with Sebastian, we begin to find unusual items called triptychs. Sometime later, Sebastian begins to express an interest in dark magic, thinking it may be the key to helping Anne. He sets out to find Salazar Slytherin's scriptorium, which is hidden somewhere in Hogwarts. To find it, we enlist the help of fellow Slytherin, ominous Gaunt. For Potter fans, Gaunt is a name you'll recognise and is widely associated with the dark arts, although ominous is the exception, strongly opposing his family's persuasions. However, with his help, we do find the scriptorium, but find the door is blocked. The only way to open it is for Sebastian to cast the Cruciatus curse on us, or vice versa. After doing so, the door opens and the first Unforgivable Curse is added to our spellbook. This is optional, by the way. You can refuse to learn it, but why would you? Inside the scriptorium, we find a book which mentions a powerful relic. Back with the keepers, Charles Rookwood says goblins have gathered around his old castle, which is the location of the next trial. We head there, defeat the goblins, and naturally complete the trial. In the memory, we see Isadora showing the keepers that she has mastered the ability of which she spoke of many years ago, removing pain. She removes the pain from her grieving father, which seems to work, much to the disapproval of her peers. Back in the map room, Neve Fitzgerald, the keeper of the next trial, joins the party, but asks us for a bit more time to allow her to set up the trial. And I think, okay, you've been dead for hundreds of years, but sure, take more time. Alongside Sebastian, we find the relic mentioned in Salazar Slytherin's book. However, Ominous soon arrives, disturbed by the artifact, and tries to stop us leaving. We're forced to cast another Unforgivable Curse, Imperio, on him in order for him to move. And I think,
I'm the bad guy.
Sebastian's home village of Feldcroft is soon attacked by goblins, and in saving his sister, casts the Imperious Curse on one of the assailants. His uncle once again berates him for his use of an Unforgivable Curse and banishes him from their home. We meet back up with Lodgok, who reveals that he has learned of Ranrok's plans. He is mining into ancient magic depositories with the intention of harnessing and using its power to wage war against wizards. He has found all but one of them thanks to the old journals of his ancestor, Bragbor, and is searching for his final journal. Lodgok also recalls upon meeting a witch a while ago who was very kind to him. The witch is revealed to be Miriam, Professor Fig's wife, whom set the wheels of this story in motion. Lodgok implies that she was murdered by Ranrok. After taking her sweet time, Neve reveals the location of her trial, which is the headmaster's office in Hogwarts. In order to gain access, Professor Fig creates a Polyjuice potion so that we can take on the appearance of Hogwarts Professor Phineas Nigellus Black. We access the trial, which in this case sees us play out the story of the Deathly Hallows, including being able to wear the Cloak of Invisibility and wield the famed Elder Wand. At the end of the trial, we access another memory. We see Neve and Isadora talking. Isadora tries to convince Neve that they should attempt to harness the energy she has drawn from removing pain before demonstrating the ability of consuming the power, much disturbing Neve. In the map room, Sam Bakar, the final keeper, arrives. After collecting all the triptych pieces, we gain access to a different type of memory, one of Isadora's. In the memory, we see Isadora talking to Bragbor, the famed Goblin silversmith, who constructed the repositories to store the ancient magic upon Isadora's instruction. The same repository that Ranrok is now seeking, having learned of it in Bragbor's journals. We plan to meet Lodgok in a loyalist mine with the intention of destroying one of Ranrok's drills being made to use on the depositories. However, we are soon confronted by Ranrok and Victor Rookwood, who arrives with Lodgok, who is carrying Bragbor's final journal, which contains the location of the final depository, which he intended to give to us. We learn that our goblin friend is actually the younger brother of Ranrok. Lodgok reluctantly hands Ranrok the final journal that he has been seeking, and in a rage that his brother has had the book all along, kills Lodgok.
You are a traitor to our kind!
With the journal in his possession, Ranrok claims that he doesn't need anyone's help now, which causes Rookwood to fire a killing curse at the Goblin Rebel, but fortunately for Ranrok, his aim sucks. The fight, however, does destroy the mine, and we manage to escape. Continuing his research of dark magic in the hope of finding a cure for Anne, Sebastian is confronted by Solomon, who destroys the relic that we found. In a rage, Sebastian attacks his uncle. The trio duel before... Yep, Sebastian kills his uncle with the killing curse. In turn, the spell is added to our armory too. Anne soon arrives and is devastated at what Sebastian has done. To prevent him from delving into the dark arts further, she destroys Salazar Slytherin's book. In the final memory, we see Percival Rackham reveal to Sambuca that Isadora is using her position at Hogwarts to draw pain from students. The keepers confront the young professor, who they find stood near a large ancient magic depository behind the map room in Hogwarts, the final location. After once again arguing about the morality of her actions, Rackham attempts to disarm Isadora, which leads to a duel. With her immense ancient magic power, she easily overpowers her mentors, which leads Sambuca to act decisively and kills the young witch. Back in the present, Rackham reveals that the group's true intention from that moment was to guard the secret of ancient magic until one capable of handling it properly arrived, meaning us. In order to gain access, we must craft a new wand containing elements of each item we have collected during the trials. With the help of Gerbold Ollivander, grandfather of Garrick, known from the films and the books, we craft the wand. However, outside we are confronted by Victor Rookwood, now seeking the depository for his own. He utters the same phrase that Sebastian said that Anne had heard before being cursed, revealing that it was him that cursed Anne, not a goblin, as Sebastian first thought. The Dark Wizard then abducts us. Eventually, this leads to a duel, which, you guessed it, we win. We prepare to head into the hidden repository, and Percival Rackham says,
We leave our legacy in your hands.
And I'm like, yeah, whatever, mate. We could have done this 6 hours ago in the game if you hadn't kept delaying me. Inside, however, we find that the goblins have already infiltrated due to their underground drilling. We find ourselves cornered by a huge number of goblins, but are saved as the teachers of Hogwarts arrive and join the fight. I appreciate I've barely mentioned any of the teachers in this game in this video so far, but up to this point, they literally just teach us spells and barely affect the story. Thanks to their help, though, we continue with Professor Fig, who so far hasn't seemed to notice that I'm casting my new spell, Avada Kedavra, every 5 seconds. We reach the depository and Fig asks us what our plans are with the magic. We can leave it contained, vowing to protect it like the keepers did before us, or to open it and attempt to harness its power like Isadora tried to do. In a proper Isildur in the Fires of Mount Doom moment, I decided to open it, intending to become a low-budget Lord Voldemort. Fig will be disappointed at this choice, but it doesn't really affect the story, as Ranrok soon arrives. Ranrok casts a spell on the depository, releasing its magic. The fallen debris lands on Professor Fig, killing him, but honestly, this scene was so abrupt and rushed, you barely realise he's died, which is why I've slowed it down for you here. With the magic released, Ranrok transforms into a magical dragon and engages us in an epic boss fight, which wasn't quite Dark Souls, but it did take a fair few goes. Eventually, however, we win and Ranrok is defeated. Depending on your choice earlier with Fig, you either create a magical cage for the energy or you inhale it. I inhaled it and thought, shit, I'm going to be invincible now, but actually it doesn't really do anything and you still have exactly the same abilities as you had before. Yeah. Go figure. Worth noting that earlier decision doesn't actually affect the outcome of Professor Fig. His exact nature of death is slightly different in each case, but he does still die regardless of what you choose. Back at Hogwarts, Professor Weasley and Headmaster Black lead the tributes to Professor Fig, and in keeping with the films and the books, the House Cup is still a rigged and corrupt competition, and we're awarded shitloads of points for our endeavours, and yep, our house wins. Yay. And that's the end of the game. You are presented with the choice of snitching on Sebastian or not. If you do, he'll be expelled and sent to Azkaban, but I decided to stay quiet about my evil little buddy. Thank you for watching my video. As I said, if you liked it, please do hit subscribe, or you can leave a super thanks below. Really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you.